Hey, we're back. This is John,
And it's Eric.
and we are Paulus.
Sounds like a
But
disease every time we say it.
I know, yes. No matter what I do, I always sound like I got a disease. It's Navy life. But Paul's not here tonight. He's hanging out with his parents, and we are What If Geeks. And Eric and I are going to jump in on a review of the recently released Mortal Kombat movie because Paul hasn't seen it, so that's a perfect episode for us to do. So, when did we say this was released? April 16th?
Yeah, this was released April 16th on HBO Max. I don't think they released it in theaters. I think it was just on HBO Max, right?
I think. I don't remember.
I don't remember for sure either. Normally I look up the box office and stuff, but I feel like we haven't done that for like a year because what's the point?
Box office, yeah. Hopefully, box office will be coming back soon.
Let me see real quick.
I don't know if our governor's got anything to say about it. Everything's coming back.
Yeah, no joke.
Florida's doing whatever we want.
It looks like it did come out of the box office in some places. Yeah, it says domestic April 23rd release opening weekend was 29.7 million gross. That's actually really tiny, but I don't know comparatively what it means. Pandemic.
I can tell you, I know that I heard it made an ass ton of money between HBO Max subscriptions or whatever else.
It does appear that it was the leading movie for that weekend. But I don't. I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. I don't have any good reference anymore.
I don't know. But so we watched this one together.
Yeah.
We watched it like that opening weekend at Eric's house. Eric's got a nice we both have HBO Max, but Eric's got this really kick-ass outdoor projector and screen, and we watched the movie by the pool. So it was really cool.
Almost a theater.
Almost a theater.
Not quite big enough. 300 inches is just not big enough screen, but it's the best we can do in a backyard.
Not big enough, but the best I can do.
Yeah.
I do what I can with what I got. But,
I think it was pretty fun to watch that way. Yeah. Nice and loud. We got a couple neighbor complaints.
A little bit. But they got over it.
I mean, it's not like we were going late. I think we were done by like 10:30.
Yeah, we were done relatively early. But so it was all right. So I guess we'll just get into this. We have been looking forward to this movie from the minute they said they were making it. Right.
I think
two Mortal Kombats were what in the 90s. We said.
Yeah, in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, and while the first one was good, and it's a cult classic, definitely. I think it's even a little bit more than a cult classic because it's not bad, but it's one of the better video game movies, right?
Yeah, I mean, of the video game movie genre, most of which are trash. I think we've established in a previous episode.
The original Mortal Kombat was better.
Yeah, not bad.
The second one kind of fell off the rails. I think they tried to cram too much into it.
Yep.
I guess we do a brief review of the old school Mortal Kombat too. But like everybody knew that theme song. That Mortal Kombat. So this when they announced this one, I was like, oh, it's got hopefully because they were on not these guys, Warner Brothers, right? But overall, like video game movies were starting to get a little bit better with like Detective Pikachu and Sonic, like they were better than what we thought they were going to be. So I was hoping that this one was going to be like really, really good. And so we sat down to watch it, and I guess we're not going to go scene by scene because we didn't make any notes because why should we? Because we're only semi-professional. But they initially dropped like the first 7 minutes of this thing online, like the day before or like 2 days before, and I watched it, and it was it was fine. It really didn't give anything away. It opens up on Hanzo Scorpion, right? can't pronounce his name. Hanzo something. And his family. He's talking to his wife, telling how blessed he is to be with her and this and that. And they've got a son and a little baby. The little baby's in the house. Son and wife are out in the garden. He's going to collect water. And the wife and the son go in to check on the daughter, or the baby, and realize that the house is cold. Well, next thing you know, there's sounds of battle. People are getting killed. Blood splattering on the walls of the house, and then Sub-Zero walks in, and he essentially kills the family, or kills the wife and the son, and Scorpion comes running back. Right now, this is him as a human, comes running back, sees the Lin Kuei, Sub-Zero's men. And the other thing I liked about this is they just drop you right into it. Like, Sub-Zero's got powers. They don't try to explain, like, how he got them or what the hell, you know what I mean? Like, why he's got these abilities. They just drop you right into it, and he's freezing people and using his power. He sees his wife and kid frozen, and then Sub-Zero's men surround him, and he goes apeshit and fucks these dudes up. That's the first time you see him with, like, that classic Scorpion weapon of like a spear or I guess a spearhead on a chain is what it becomes, but it's just like the dagger that his wife was using to dig up the garden. He just
it's like a garden trowel basically, even though it's sharp.
Yeah, it was just very pointed. It wasn't like curved at all like a regular garden thing. But which again, this is hundreds of years ago, so, and they are martial artists, so I guess they just use whatever they got. He wraps a rope around this thing and starts fucking people up. and immediately you know that you're in for a ride, because there's blood splattering everywhere, and he's kicking the shit out of these guys. Gets into it with Sub-Zero and leaves him a nice little scar on his face, but ultimately loses, right? He tries to crawl to the house, and you can hear the baby crying, but he essentially dies in the yard, and you see his body engulfed in flames, and he's gone. And then there's a lightning bolt, and Raiden is there. Raiden walks into the house, gets the baby, and then takes off in his bolt of lightning again. And now I guess we can. So there's your opening.
So that whole thing up to right before Scorpion loses that battle was actually released as like a teaser trailer thing.
Right. Yeah, they don't show him losing. Yeah. But the funny thing is too is because essentially, without saying much, they set it up where Sub-Zero is attacking him because he's a great warrior, and he's doing it for the Lin Kuei. You'll find out later kind of exactly why, but they never really explain it fully. But we can kind of get into it here in a bit. But yeah,
also, before we do, what did you think overall
of the movie?
Yeah.
I loved it. I had a lot of people at work kind of complaining a little bit. Like they were not as into it as I was. I thought it was great. I thought I thought it far surpassed the original one. What about you?
Yeah, definitely far surpassed the original one. It is made for fans of the source material of the game or of the first movie, maybe both. Those are probably largely one and the same, but it's definitely made for those people. If you don't know, you don't need to know the storyline per se, but if you don't know the characters in the background, and you don't get some of the fuck ups in the first movie that they've kind of played out in this one differently, I don't know that you can appreciate it as much. But if you've got that behind you, I think you would probably love this movie. On the critic reviews, it actually did fairly poorly. It's got like 55% on Rotten Tomatoes, but on the fan reviews, it's way up there, right? I think the current audience score is at 86%. So, I think that's not surprising. That happens a lot, but like you said, the first one's a cult classic. I think in general, the Mortal Kombat franchise is a bit of a cult classic, and if you liked it before, you're probably going to really like this.
Yeah, and that's what I would say. I think, like you said, it was definitely made with the fans in mind. It seemed like it was made by fans. It was almost like how Disney eventually took John Favreau and Dave Filoni and set them loose on The Mandalorian, where they were like, "You have to love this in order to be a part of it."
Yeah.
That's what it seemed like, and like they went out and got people who could actually fight, which I mean the first one did for the most part too, but not everybody. But for this one, they went out and got people who could fight. The guy who plays Scorpion, I forget his name, but I know
Hiroyuki Sanada.
Yep, he's a big martial arts.
Yeah. You know what? We should talk about the cast before we even hop into the story because, as you mentioned, there's a lot of people that have experience either with samurai movies or general on-screen TV fighting. Maybe not necessarily much as a martial artist background as Hiroyuki Sanada, but there's a ton of people here, and interestingly, you're probably going to recognize almost all the faces, maybe not from that, but because they've been in like Marvel movies and DC movies, right? So if you go down the list, you mentioned Hiroyuki Sanada, who has been in a billion things martial arts related, right? But he is also in Avengers Endgame, but he doesn't play a martial artist. He plays I guess he is kind of a martial artist, but the Yakuza boss guy or whatever.
Right.
Akiko, I think was his name.
I think so, yeah.
Right, and then just going down the cast list in general. So you have Jessica McNamee's not really the girl who plays Sonya, but then Joe Taslim.
Yeah, but she was hot, so.
But Joe Taslim, who plays the Sub-Zero character, right? He is in Fast and Furious 6, where he demonstrates some of his martial artistry. I think that might have been the only thing he was in. I mean, he's also in a Star Trek.
I thought he was in The Raid.
Was he in The Raid?
Was that the guy who played Raid?
Oh yeah. You're right. No, you're right. The Raid Redemption. Yeah, he was Jaka or whatever. Yeah, you're right. And then Louis Tan, who plays the main character, I forgot his name. Oh man,
Cole.
Thanks. Guy who plays Cole, who he played Shatterstar in Deadpool 2.
Yep.
And he's like a half. Yeah,
that's right. That's how it is.
Yeah. And he was also in some other stuff. Rush Hour movie. I mean, he's got some. He's got a pedigree,
a little bit of one.
Yeah, pedigree. That's a good way to describe it. Mm-hmm. And he's had some smaller, parts in other movies where he gets to sort of demonstrate his martial arts. But who else do we have? Ludi Lin, who played Liu Kang, also played Captain Merc in the Aquaman movie, the leader of the Atlantean Guard or whatever.
Right.
He also happens to be the Black Power Ranger in the reboot of the Power Rangers from several years ago.
Okay, all right, yeah.
And then Ing Chen Han, who plays Shang Tsung, also was in Ghost in the Shell. He was in Captain America: Winter Soldier, although he had a small role as like a council member or whatever. Who else am I forgetting? I know I'm forgetting other people.
Jax. He looks familiar.
So Jax was played by Makad Brooks. I'm trying to think now. He's in the Supergirl TV series as Guardian, which may be where you recognize him from.
Probably.
Trying to think of what else. He's been in some stuff quite a long time ago. He was also in the True Blood TV series on HBO, if you ever watched that.
Yep.
He was Eggs. I'm not sure what else off the top of my head. I'm sure I can look it up, but yeah. So yeah, him. Who else? I know I'm forgetting more people.
I don't know. There was a bunch of them.
Yeah, there's quite a few. The guy that plays Kung Lao, Max Long. He was in Hitman.
Okay.
But he did stunts in that. He wasn't like a main character. I don't know that he's been in anything as a main character really. Let me see his actor credits. No, not really. I mean, he's got some movies here, but I haven't heard of most of them.
All right. But I mean, for the most part, these guys they've got acting chops. They can hold a movie. And their main focus, they said it in the cast interviews when they talked about the movie, kind of advertising for it. They all said, look, the big thing about this is we wanted to make the fights look as brutal and realistic as possible, to kind of give the fans of the game something to really sink their teeth into.
Yeah.
And still be able to tell a story. And I guess that's kind of where Cole comes in. I guess we can start there because we just went over everything that happens in the kind of the prior to the title card, right? And then you cut to modern day, right? Present day. And Cole is the main character in this, but he's not in the game. He's a new guy. He's a new character they made for this movie, as far as I can tell. Now I know I fell off of playing some of these games, but I don't remember his character at all.
Yeah, me too. I don't remember him at all. I almost feel like they're setting up for another game release, and he's going to be one of the characters they had or something.
Yeah, he's going to be a downloadable character for one of them. But so he's he's a mixed martial arts fighter, and a very underground, almost like a Rocky kind of setup, where like Rocky was like, it opens up on him fighting in like the back alley gyms and shit, making a couple $100 a fight, and that's this guy for mixed martial arts. And he loses the fight, but essentially they put him in this movie to give people who really don't know too much about it, like you were saying, if you're not a fan of the game, you kind of get lost. But that's kind of his role, is to be your eyes and ears into this whole world, like somebody who doesn't know what's going on just kind of gets thrust into this entire situation, right? So the whole deal with him and everybody else in this is, for anyone who does not know Mortal Kombat, I don't know why you're listening to this, but the whole Mortal Kombat tournament is basically there are 9 realms, and the realm of Outworld, ruled by Shao Kahn, and Shang Tsung is one of his generals. They're looking to take over all the other realms, and they want to start with Earth Realm because it's the most profitable or whatever. And they can really grow an army here. They're supposed to, basically, they're so powerful. Raiden came up with the idea with the Elder Gods to create the Mortal Kombat tournament to give Earth Realm a fighting chance, basically. Because otherwise, we'd get wiped out by these demons and shit from Outworld, right? So the Elder Gods set up this whole thing about the different realms fighting in tournaments, and if you win 10 Mortal Kombats in a row, you rule the universe or whatever, right? You rule a realm you're choosing or whatever. Well, Outworld has won 9 in a row, and they set up in here, they established that Shang Tsung has been going around trying to kill off Earth's heroes, and because Raiden calls him out on it when they first meet up with each other. He's like, you've been going around doing whatever, because Shang Tsung's trying to take their souls, and he's like, combat outside of the tournament is not forbidden, so I can do whatever I want, basically,
Oh, that reminds me of one I forgot. The guy that plays Raiden.
Oh, yeah.
Tadanobu Asano. He was in Thor Ragnarok. He's one of the Warriors 3 or whatever. That Asgardian. What the hell was his name? Hogan? Something like that.
Yeah, Hogan. Yep.
Sorry, didn't mean to.
Yeah, no. So that's the whole concept of Mortal Kombat, right?
This movie, that brings up a point too. This movie does something that I wasn't quite expecting, in that there is no actual tournament in this movie at all. It's it's kind of like all the leading up to it.
Right, and which I think they're really going to delve into that in the sequel, because there's going to be a sequel.
No, there's for sure going to be a sequel.
Yeah.
Either that, or they just dropped a shit ton of Easter eggs in this movie for no fucking reason at all.
Right. Yeah. And we'll get into that. So another cool thing they did here that they did not do in the original, because in the original they just opened it up and it was Mortal Kombat, and these heroes came out and tried to defend Earth, right? Well, here there's a dragon mark that you're born with, And if you're born with it, you've got the bloodline that's allowed to fight in the tournament, right? What also gives you, I guess, the ability to unlock, I forget what they call it, unlock different abilities, right? Like they call it like a genre, a core, or something. I forget what the hell they call it, something in Japanese. But you essentially be able to open up supernatural abilities, right? Sub-Zero obviously has ice powers. He's had them for quite a long time. Cole has this mark on his chest, right? Which makes him a target. Is almost immediately Sub-Zero comes looking for him, right? Because they're trying to kill off the people who have this mark. Now the other, all right, so yeah, so he attacks Cole after he loses his fight. Cole's just hanging out with his family basically, and Sub-Zero goes after Cole, right? Yeah, that's the first thing that happens. Because this is how he kind of gets like thrown into this whole world. Sub-Zero goes to fight him or attack him in an alleyway, and Jax has watched him fight. He's tracking him because he knows he's got the mark. Even when he meets him, he asks him if he can see it, you know. So he shows it to him, and that's how you learn he's born with it, because his daughter says it's not a tattoo, it's a birthmark. He's born with it. Which is a pretty weird birthmark. I think you would like really question shit. It's a perfect dragon. Like it's the Mortal Kombat symbol, right? So Jax stays behind and sends him off to a location and tells him to go find Sonya Blade. Jax stays behind to fight Sub-Zero and gets his ass handed to him. And that's when it's immediate, right? He loses his arms.
Yeah, it's pretty quick into the movie. There's actually a couple funny Easter eggs too. You're talking about Jax, but when Jax is talking to Cole Young, when he first like sort of meets him or whatever, and he says, "Oh, the guy that took the belt from Eddie Tobias." I think that is a connection back to the original creators of Mortal Kombat, who was Ed Boon and John Tobias, right? I think that was their names.
Yeah, no, it is, because one of the characters in the game is Noob Sabat.
Yeah, that's right.
Their names
which is their last names backwards. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right. And then the second one is, I didn't notice this the first watch through, but when Jax goes into that whatever it is, that warehouse or whatever, going after Sub-Zero, written on the wall, there's a down arrow, a right arrow, and then it says plus LP, which is, if you remember, that was the move to get Sub-Zero's, little ice ball thing to shoot.
Oh, yeah, it is. That's funny.
I think it was foreshadowing for Jax getting his arms frozen and busted off.
That's funny. I didn't catch that at all. No. It's amazing.
Yeah, I didn't see it on the first watch through, but it's there plain as day, man. They like put it right in the center of the screen. It's written on the wall. It's pretty funny.
It's awesome. That's funny. So they get into it, and Sub-Zero basically overpowers Jax, grabs both his arms and freezes them, and then breaks them off. He's sitting there, stumpy, laying on the ground. And he just walks off. So he just leaves him there for dead. Now, the key here is also, if you kill someone with the mark and you don't have a mark, you earn their mark. Right?
Yeah.
So, but Sub-Zero's obviously already got a mark. He's got his powers and everything. He's got his Kana, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Arcana. Arcana was what they
Arcana. Arcana. There you go.
Yeah, that's actually, I think that's Latin, not Japanese, but no matter.
Yeah, I only speak English and barely, so. But so I guess we cut to Cole running, trying to find Sonya Blade, and she pops out of nowhere and almost kills him. And he's like, "Hang on, Jax sent me,"
Yeah.
So she has him follow her into a secret warehouse or a secret bunker. And because she looks like the biggest conspiracy theorist in the world. She like the wall moves and it's nothing but like red lines and this and that, and like people who had the mark and all this other shit written
They
on the
use it as
wall.
like a super fast way to sort of introduce what's going on, but they
Yeah.
also use it as a mechanism to drop a bunch of hints for a second movie. Because
Oh yeah.
there's pictures and things that they show when they're going through like there's an article with like this Native American looking dude with it's clearly Nightwolf in
Right.
the picture, right?
Yes.
But he's not in this movie, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So they're showing you all these people that she's tracking, trying to figure out, and she's got like Mortal Kombat written with the K.
With the K, yeah.
On
And
the wall.
he calls it out like it's part of the reason he doesn't believe her. They spelled it wrong.
Yeah.
With the K. But that's really a funny throwback to because the game was originally going to be called Mortal Kombat with a C, but the creators couldn't trademark it because it was considered a common phrase. So they switched the C out with the K so that they could actually trademark the game name.
Yeah.
And so then they just sort of carried that on and made it combatants with a K and all this other stupid stuff. But it's a funny fan nod, really.
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't spell it right, but that's funny. So yeah, so she explains the whole Mortal Kombat thing that I already explained. Basically saying how there's this tournament that's supposed to happen, and that'll come back again later on because, like you said, the official tournament doesn't happen. But so trying to think what happens after that. I don't want to go scene by scene, but I want to kind of at least keep it somewhat of an order. They go. Oh no! She introduces him to Kano. She's got Kano there locked up.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, she caught Kano, right? Kano is the leader of the Black Dragons. So that's like right out of the first game. She's been after Kano for a while because she's special forces. So she's got him locked up, and that's the guy we haven't done the actor for him yet either.
No, we haven't. You know what though? I think they made an interesting choice here to make Kano sort of like the comic relief in this. But I actually think it worked really well mainly because of the actor they chose.
His comedic timing is perfect.
Yeah,
he's amazing in this.
I think I actually don't. I don't know who that is. I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm afraid.
Yeah. Okay. But he's funny as shit. He's locked up, and she's
Josh Lawson.
There you go.
So he is. He's an Australian actor, actually, and his accent is certainly not hidden here. I don't remember Kano having an Australian accent at all in the game.
Yes. All right. So the first one, he wasn't meant to be Australian, but when they the first movie that came out, the guy that played him was Australian, and after that, when they started doing more voice acting in the games, they just kept the Australian accent because it was so well known from the movie.
I see.
So he's always had an Australian accent since then. So, which is perfect. I mean, like I said, the guy knocks it out of the park with this one. He made the movie. I think his back hurt from carrying half of it. But he's funny because, and this is where you learn because she says how. Basically, when she's explaining Mortal Kombat, he calls her out. Kano calls Sonya out for not having a mark and not being, really a part of it. And she says, well, he got a mark because he killed some monster that had a mark. It was like they ran into another supernatural creature. Who knows which one? It could be anyone. It could be a specific character out of the games. It could just be some random one that they haven't introduced you to, like Cole, right? But he killed it and got its mark. So he's one of the warriors from Mortal Kombat now. She's trying to use him to find out what's going on with the tournament. I think, is this where they the three of them decide they're going to go off and look for...
Well, I mean, at that point, she's got Kano chained up, but then the reptilian dude shows up.
Oh, that's right. Reptile shows up.
Yeah, but he's in like that. He's not like the ninja reptile. He's like I don't know, like an actual reptile He looks
He
like
is.
almost
He's
like
like
an alligator or something.
yeah, he's like a giant alligator ish thing, which is funny because in the first movie when he shows up in the original one when Liu Kang fights him, he is a reptile like similar to this, but not quite. Bad CGI because it was in the 90s. But he
Yeah.
attacks the heroes, and Liu Kang or whoever throws him, and he lands on a statue. But like the statue like grabs him and pulls him into its chest, and he becomes the Green Ninja reptile, which is really weird, but whatever. You know, I was kind of hoping this would like he would morph into the ninja or some shit.
Yeah. I mean, he still carries like some of the abilities or whatever, right? He's able to disappear. He can spit acid or whatever. That's actually how Kano busts his chains off. These guys, that thing's acid, right?
Yeah, yeah. He spits acid. Kano sees it, leans the handcuffs over, gets loose. Unless that's the monster he was talking about later when he.
Oh yeah, I guess it. Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not until after the fight with Reptile that he says he got the mark.
Mm-hmm.
He must be talking about Reptile. Okay, never mind. Duh. So yeah, he kills Reptile, which is funny because it's right out of the game. They fight this thing. Sonya Blade shoves a fucking flare in his back so they can see him. So
she like stabs a flare and then stabs him with it with the knife, and so he's got his glowing flare.
So yeah, so he can't go camouflage anymore. And then Kano turns around and rips his fucking heart out.
Yeah, he like punches right through his chest and tears his heart out.
Just like the original video game, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny too because he stands there and he's like, Kano wins.
Yeah, so that is I think the first game reference of probably about 6 where it should be Shao Kahn's voice saying it, but it's the character that wins instead every time.
Right, yes. Yeah, they just say something because it's something cool to say after they win a fight. But yeah, he's like, Kano wins. He's just something like fucking diabolical or some shit like that, right?
I think he says fucking beautiful because he's holding the heart and it's like squirting blood.
Yeah. So he's all pleased with himself. And so that's when he gets the mark. All right, I don't know how the hell I was drinking when we watched it, so. Yeah, I got an excuse. So yeah, I missed that. So that's when he gets his mark, and I guess that's when they all decide they're gonna. She tells him, "You're gonna have to work with us, so we can figure out what's going on," and he agrees to go with them. You know, Kano's like basically, he said something like, you know, if they destroy the Earth, there's no point in me being here or whatever, something like that, right? To the effect of like, you know, I'll help you out and try to figure out what the hell is going on, but you know, he's like, I'm not a good guy. He's gonna, you know, he's still out for his own best interest, basically. Why he's going with them, and you know, I guess that's when they take off looking for the next hint, right? They're following whatever hints that they've gathered, and they go off into the Far East, right?
I don't know, fucking Gobi Desert or something.
I don't know
where the hell they are.
They're just wandering around a fucking desert. I forget where because it does pop up whenever like they change scenes. It kind of like pops up like where they are, but I don't remember where the fuck they were. They just wandered around a fucking desert.
Yeah, basically they're wandering around with I don't know that it even matters that much.
I don't think it does. They're walking around this fucking desert in the middle of nowhere, and Kano's just like, fuck this, I'm done. And they're sitting there just like taking a break when it looks like a fucking mirage is like walking toward them. You know, you see his shadow walking toward them. But any fan of the game or anything knows right away it's Liu Kang.
Yeah.
Just by the silhouette, the way he's walking. And it comes into focus, and it's Liu Kang. And he's like, you know, you finally made it. You know, basically like he's been waiting for them forever, you know. And he takes them to the temple that he's been working out of. And when he takes them there, he's explaining to them more about Mortal Kombat, you know, so you get more into the story of what's going on with Outworld and everything, right? And
it's a pretty cheesy intro, but there's like some murals on the wall, like, oh, here's the story of the 9 realms. And anyway, it all boils down to basically, you guys are the heroes of Earthrealm, and you need to fight, and we need to train starting now, or we're going to lose this tournament. Yeah, I mean, that's really it. And he happens to have, he's got these three, obviously, that they ran into each other in the desert. Good luck, I guess. And then he's got Jax in the temple already, who's getting these arms installed.
Well, yeah, it's funny because he's got his medics or his medicine people working on him, but he's unconscious.
Yeah,
and, but he's alive, so that's good.
He has I don't remember if it's in this part. He doesn't
have any arms at all there.
Oh, he doesn't have any arms yet. I'll wait for it then.
Yeah, he's just laying there.
And then he basically takes them into the center of the temple and calls on Raiden.
Raiden shows up. Yep.
And Raiden shows up, and they go through the the Elder Gods thing. This is what we're doing. Everybody's got to find their power. Blah blah blah.
Raiden's kind of a dick.
Yeah. So the enemies have...
he's very impatient. He's like, this is pathetic. He's like, this is what we got to work with?
Yeah.
This is not going to work at all. We might as well just give up.
So Outworld has won 9 straight victories, and if they win one more, then they gain control of Earth forever, or whatever he tells them, right?
Yep. So he's like, so you better get your ass in gear, basically. And then Shang Tsung shows up.
Yep.
First is Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero shows up first and attacks Liu Kang. And then... Sub-Zero, Shang Tsung shows up. He's got Melina and who's the big guy? Reiko with a fucking he looks like a stand-in for Shao Kahn because he's got a big sledgehammer, right? So and he just shows up at the fucking temple like he can do whatever he wants. And that's when Raiden calls him out, like, you're going around killing people, trying to wipe out the heroes of Earth realm, and Shang Tsung says, that's when he tells him combat outside of the tournament is not forbidden. So your souls are all mine. And he's getting ready to kill them all. And that's when Kung Lao shows up.
Yeah, Kung Lao just teleports in out of nowhere. It's like the move in the game.
Right out of the game.
Yeah, pop to the opposite side of the screen or whatever.
Yeah, he comes up right up out of the floor, throws his hat, knocks somebody on their ass, whatever. But they're clearly losing the fight because Sonya, Cole, and Kano have nothing to offer in this fight. It's getting their ass kicked. So when Shang Tsung says he's going to kill them all, Raiden puts up a wall of lightning, like an electric wall, basically. And Shang Tsung's like, I'll be back, whatever. And he leaves. And that's when they say, okay, we have to train, And that's when, I think that's more when Liu Kang gets into the Arcana. He's like, you have to unlock your Arcana. And he shows him the fire. Right? He's been showing how he's been using his fire for different things. But, so he puts Cole on his ass immediately, and Cole can't unlock shit. So then they fight, what's his face?
I think Kano... what?
Kung Lao kicks the shit out of Kano.
No, Liu Kang fights Kano, doesn't he?
The first one? I don't know, because they switch.
Yeah, no, Liu Kang. I remember Liu Kang fights him because he sweep kicks him multiple times in a row, which was the cheesiest cheater move you could use in the game. Constantly sweep kick. And
it was funny because he did it the first time he does it, he knocks him on his back in the dirt, and Kano gets up and he's like, all right, you cheap bastard, try that again. And he immediately does it again. Knocks him on his ass again.
Yeah, and then the third time he jumps and then he goes, oh shit, because he realizes the jump was too early and he gets sweep kicked again.
Yeah.
I feel like that was one of that and the high kick spin or whatever you could do. I feel like those were two of the cheesiest cheater moves you could spam over and over, and it was really hard to get somebody.
Yeah.
I think that was a throwback there, and this is yet another movie reference because right before the two of them go at it, it cuts to Kung Lao real quick, and he goes fight like just right. Shao Kahn does in front of every round of the game.
Yeah. So, it was exactly that. It was right out of the game. So then I guess nothing really happens. Nobody unlocks anything. So they're sitting down at dinner, right? Because meanwhile, Kano's been talking shit to them the whole time, right?
Oh yeah.
And what does he say? He's when they're trying to explain how they got to unlock the Arcana, he's like, "Oh, I get it." Oh, after he sees Raiden, he goes, "I get it," because your Arcana is kind of like, you never. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get because you can get fire, you can get lightning, you can get a frisbee hat. Come on, just looks at him like, I fucking hate you. So that's when they cut to dinner, and Kung Lao was talking shit to Kano. He's like, you're weak.
He calls him a failure, and then he goes off on this rant. He's like, "Let me educate you, motherfucker." I am Kano of the Black fucking Dragon. And then what the hell he said? Who the hell are you two? You're a fucking cave dwelling hippie twirling anal beads.
Yeah.
And then a guy who wears a hubcap as a helmet or something like that.
Yeah, because Liu Kang tries to tell him you need to show Kung Lao respect because he's going to save your realm. You're not doing anything. So they're purposely agitating him because nothing else is working. So they're agitating him, and that's when he tells him, you're a cave dwelling hippie twirling anal beads, and you wear a hubcap for a fucking helmet.
Yeah, sit down and pass me a fucking egg roll.
Yeah, he says. You should both be on your knees in front of me, sucking my sack. And he says, "Now sit down and pass me a fucking egg roll." And his eye is lighting up as he's doing this. And he shoots the fucking laser out of his eye, which is a cool thing with the whole Arcana thing where you just develop a power because they haven't quite, because he doesn't have that plate that he's got in even the first game.
Yeah, I was wondering because
you'll get it later.
Yeah, because at the if you remember in the scene where he's fighting the reptile dude, he gets scratched across the face and he has these huge gash like across the side of his face and his eye. I thought for sure at that moment anyway that he was going to lose his eye, and then we get to some robotic eye thing later. But they didn't do that. They just made the laser come straight out of his eye. There's no
he can just naturally do it. Which is cool. I'm fine with that, especially once you've developed why. It's only people who have this mark. It's not like anybody can just develop powers.
Yeah.
So that's his. And he's like, his laser cuts the fucking table in half, and everyone, Kung Lao blocks it with his hat, and it goes flying off into nowhere. And he's like, did you all fucking see that? He's like, fucking laser beams. A lot better than piss and fire. He's like, it was a lot better than fire, you pussy. So he's got his power, which is great because you see Cole looking like motherfucker. Like this guy's got a power now. Is that when Cole...
they go back to training after that, and now what's his name? Cole is getting his ass kicked by Kano. Yeah. And I think there ends up being a conversation between him and
Raiden.
Yeah, well, him and Sonya first, and she's saying like, they're just talking about. But then Raiden, that's the important one. And then he's like, if you can't figure out what your power is, you're basically a liability to the rest of the. Well,
before that is when Jax wakes up.
Mm.
That's when you get the.
Oh yeah, and you see his little puny arms.
Yeah, his initial cyborg arms. He looks like a fucking T-Rex. He's got these skinny little cybernetic arms. He looks like the world's worst Terminator. Like they're not even like as good, like as strong as those arms. They just look like Johnny Five from Short Circuit. Like skinny little arms. They're not gonna do shit. And those are his arms. And he's walking around like that with those arms on for like the longest time. For a while.
Yeah, those arms are hilarious, man.
It was great.
That was a clever. I mean, the way he gets the bigger arms almost is just stupid and kind of doesn't make sense. But at the same time, it was really hilarious because that was the first thing I said when I'm like, "What the fuck is this? What are these little arms?"
Yeah,
it's like they're playing a fucking joke on the fans with those things.
Yeah, I was laughing at it, but so then Raiden tells Cole basically you're a liability. You might as well just go home to your family. And he opens the portal and sends him home. He leaves. Cole's just like, I'm out. And he goes home. And this is when Outworld attacks again, right? It's almost shortly. It's like almost.
Yeah, it's pretty close to that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was they attacked the temple again, and I think Riku, or the big guy with the hammer, beats the piss out of Jax. I think Melina's fucking up Sonya. Right? Oh, no. Because Kano disappears and Cabal finds him.
Yeah, Cabal, yeah.
Which is funny for like a character who didn't come into like what, Mortal Kombat 3 or whatever. I don't remember him until like the third game maybe. But he's an old buddy of Kano's from the mercenary days. He was part of the Black Dragons or whatever the fuck he was. Yeah. But he tells them, look out for a prick named Kano. I owe him or whatever. And they run into each other in the hallways. And Cabal's like, the hell are you doing hanging out with these guys? He's like, you're going to be a hero now? He's like, you're the Black Dragon. He's like, you should join up with us and you can get as much money as you want. So when they show back up, Kano's with Shang Tsung. And they all look at him like, what the fuck? And he looks at Sonya and he's like, you didn't really think you were going to change me, did you? So he's with the bad guys, which is fine. I mean, you kind of figured that was going to happen. I didn't think they were going to keep him good for the whole movie. But the heroes get the shit kicked out of them. Well,
I mean, there's multiple different fights going on. Yeah, some of them are getting the shit kicked out of them. But then it comes to also, in a completely different space, you've got Goro and Cole fighting, right? At the same time, but it's in a different
Goro
place.
Shows up on Earth. Or it shows up at Cole's house.
Yeah, to go after his family, basically.
Yeah, so because Sub-Zero shows up first, right? No,
I don't think so.
Goro first. It was Goro first. Goro shows up and attacks them and is kicking the shit out of Cole and beating his ass. And I think that's when the wife goes to take off with the daughter.
Yeah, in the truck or whatever, and then
she stabs him with an axe.
Yeah,
she stabs Goro. She's like the only one that gets a shot in on Goro. She stabs him with an axe, and they take off in the truck. But Goro stops the truck and just beat the shit out of it. And that's when Cole's Arcana, whatever, develops. And it's basically like armor.
Yeah, but it's like some sort of like, because he's like absorbing. Because what happens after he gets the armor is Goro starts beating him down, but every hit seems to be like charging up his armor, and it's starting to like glow or whatever, and then he's able to release like a super uppercut on Goro.
Yeah, it absorbs the impact, because at the point of impact it glows, and then it kind of like fades out. But it almost seems like Black Panther's vibranium armor. That Shuri made him, or it absorbs it, and he can release it later.
Yeah.
So he's absorbing kinetic energy, and so he's fighting the hell out of Goro, and that's what he kills him.
Yeah, he whoops his ass. He ends up. I think he does the uppercut, and then he like slices his hand off, and then he cuts
he develops those what are they called? They're like nightsticks, but they're called something like Tofan Tonkin, some shit. Something with a T.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because I don't know all my weapons. I should, I guess. But
Tongfu? I don't remember. It doesn't matter.
Like but it's those type of sticks. And at least one end of them is a little pointy,
Yeah, one side is sharpened,
Yeah, one side sharpened. And it's just like he just kind of grows them out, like out of the armor, and then he can move them around. But they fight. He cuts off his hand and then stabs him.
He cuts off his hand, then he cuts him from like belly all the way up the chest, and then he stabs him in an eye.
Yeah. So he kills Goro.
Yeah.
Which is, not exactly how I expected, like, the Prince Goro to go out against this dude that can't win a fucking MMA fight. But okay, whatever. So he saves his family, but then the portal opens. Raiden opens up another portal, and he tells his wife, I gotta go. And she's like, I know, just be careful, whatever. And he leaves. And she grabs the daughter, and she's like, we're getting the hell out of here before another four-armed monster shows up. And she turns around, Sub-Zero is standing in the doorway. Right?
Yeah, I think right before that, though, the heroes start to make a tiny bit of a headway back at the other fight because Kung Lao is facing Shao. Wow, what the hell's his name?
Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung. I was like Shao Tsung. Why is it not coming to me? Shang Tsung, and he throws his hat out and misses, and Shang Tsung's like, "You're beneath me," and then he calls in what's her name, with the wings.
Yeah, I don't know her name in the movie. I forget her name in the movie, but I don't remember her from a game, but I'm sure she's in one of the later ones. Because in one of the most recent games, I've seen like creatures that kind of look like her.
Yeah, but she ends up fighting Kung Lao, and he does that very stupid, again, another cheesy throwback to the game, but he throws his hat into the sand, and it's like spinning upright. And then he grabs her, he dodges her when she attacks him, grabs her from behind, and then like slides her across the thing and cuts her in half.
Yeah.
And then he didn't get hit at all during that fight, and he stands up and says, "Flawless victory."
Yeah.
It's so stupid. It's funny though. It's a funny little throwback.
It is. It was good.
So yeah, I don't remember where the hell we were on the other side.
Well, I think Cole shows up and Sub-Zero shows up at his house to grab his family. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Raiden uses his powers to like get everybody out of the temple.
No, because Shang Tsung grabs a hold of Kung Lao.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He grabs Kung Lao and
sucks his soul out.
And Liu Kang tries to get up there before it happens, but it's too late because they're cousins. So he sucks his soul out, and basically he does another one of those. Oh no, that's when Raiden teleports everybody out of there to get them out, and they try to regroup and figure out what the fuck they're gonna do. So they've lost Kung Lao, and
I've lost Kano to the other side.
So they're really fucked. And I think that's when Sub-Zero just pops in. He teleports in, and he holds up Cole's daughter's bracelet, and then freezes it and crumbles it to dust and walks away again. Like he disappears again. So Cole, that's when they decide, all right, we're going to fight them. And this is when Cole mentions, hey, it's supposed to be a tournament. Let's bring the tournament to them. So they're going to basically separate and kind of one-on-one fight different people out of the Outworld group. And Cole, so all of a sudden Cole becomes this like fucking commander and like tells everybody what they're going to do, who they're going to fight or whatever, which is really weird because again, he's just like this fucking new guy. You would have thought like anybody like Raiden, the fucking god, would have told him what to do, but no, he leaves it up to Cole. Cole does all the talking, tells him, okay, Sonya, you're gonna fight your old buddy Kano and whatever. And that's the other thing. That's when you mentioned Jax's arms, because Sonya gets pinned under a boulder.
Oh yeah.
And he's trying to like get it off of her to get her out of there, and he can't. And as he's struggling, all of a sudden like his arms grow extra armor to get to the regular Jax arms that you know from the game. And now they're like these big buff fucking bicep arms, and he picks up the rock off her like no problem. And I'm like, okay, all right. I don't know how exactly that works, but people are shooting fireballs and freezing each other, so fuck it, whatever. It's not the hill I want to die on. I'm good. So they regroup and they decide they're gonna fight tournament style, even though there's no real tournament going on. And I think, who the fuck?
Yeah, so that's it. There's basically a bunch of one-on-one battles. It's Liu Kang versus...
who's gonna take on Sub-Zero? And he's like, we'll save him for last, and we'll gang up on him. Yeah. Basically, like, because none of us is gonna beat him one-on-one, which is smart. So Liu Kang.
Liu Kang fights Cabal, I think, in this setup. Sonya fights. And Liu Kang uses his Fire Dragon fatality when he beats Cabal.
Which is kind of cool.
Sonya fights Kano. Jax fights Rico and uses his classic head smash fatality to kill Rico.
Yeah.
Who else was? I don't remember who else was fighting in this. Melina ends up fighting Cole, actually.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember though. I think he's losing to her, and then Sonya's fight's over, so she pops in.
Well, Sonya kills Kano with his kryptonite, garden gnome.
Yeah,
because he's kicking the shit out of her, and she stabs him in the eye with a garden gnome.
Yeah,
kills him and gains his mark.
Yeah, that's right. And then when she comes into the fight with Cole and Melina, he's kind of losing.
Literally like a minute after.
Right.
A minute after she kills Kano, she shows up at the fight, and Melina's about to kill Cole, and all of a sudden Sonya just lets loose with her sonic blast.
Yeah.
Out of her arms, like those pink ring look things.
Yeah, and it's uber powerful now because
bores a hole right.
Blows a hole, leaving only the spine behind.
It's really weird. But okay, it was. I
think they were trying to do a little bit of a game throwback because all the spine ripping out bullshit that was in all the previous one.
But the funny part about that to me was like, this chick literally just got her mark and bang gets her kind of like no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like she doesn't even have to think about it. It's just there. Well, now granted, I mean she's like in a panicked hurry up trying to save somebody state, which I guess would kind of be similar to Kano being all pissed off and it just activating. So I guess because she tried to stop her and she just shot these blasts out of her arms, but which is cool, And Cole says it too. He's like, cool Arcana or whatever he says, and he decides he's going after Sub-Zero.
Yeah, and then it's the fight between Cole and Sub-Zero, which is kind of cool in this like frozen warehouse or something.
Yeah, he sees his family. He's trying to free his family, and Sub-Zero's fucking him up.
Yeah, and Sub-Zero's whooping his ass. And then earlier,
Raiden gave him.
I was gonna say earlier in the movie, Raiden gave him that spade. That spade, the knife,
the little dagger.
Thing, yeah.
And he says, if you keep this with you, it's like your ancestor is fighting with you. And the thing actually glows in his hand,
Yeah, it starts to glow.
Sub-Zero stabs him with it, though.
Yeah, so Sub-Zero and him are fighting, and he's got it in his belt or whatever, and he pulls it out, and he cuts Sub-Zero a couple times. Then Sub-Zero grabs it to stab him with it, and he's got, he's holding his hand on it or whatever, and then it starts to glow red, and then it catches on fire a little bit. And Sub-Zero's kind of looking at it like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden a chain comes in and attaches to it.
Another dagger. Well, no, it was a different dagger.
Was it a different dagger? Oh, I thought a chain came in and attached to the one in his hand.
No, it came right through his arm. I think it was a different dagger because I think he drops that one.
Well, either way.
Yeah,
I mean, either way. Scorpion is back out of hell and...
Well... And it was obviously, again, this movie does a lot of giving you something without, beating you over the head with it. It doesn't treat you like a baby. Like, okay, that because Cole bled on this thing, it's bringing back his ancestor, right? Because, like you said, it kind of glows. The blood glows on it, and then all of a sudden it catches fire. And then, the chain comes through Sub-Zero's arm, and it pans back over his shoulder. And there's Scorpion, and now he's in his Scorpion gi, right? His suit.
Yeah.
And he's standing there with the chain, and he does the "get over here," and he pulls him back away from Cole.
Oh yeah, get over here, yeah. Another movie reference.
Yep. So,
from a guy that only spoke Japanese in the beginning of the movie, he now says "get over here."
True.
And then he goes back to speaking Japanese for the whole rest of the scene.
Yeah, the only English he knows is "get over here." So, I guess you want to make sure everybody understood him. So then Cole goes back to try to free his wife and kid out of the ice because they're stuck to the cage,
the
chain link fence with ice. He's trying to free them, and Sub-Zero and Scorpion, get into it. And Scorpion tells him, you remember this face? Because that's what he told him when he killed him. Remember this face.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I've risen from hell to to defeat you or whatever. Or he said you hoped hell would. No, he first tells him I've risen from hell. I've risen from hell to exact my revenge or whatever. And they get into it and they fight. And Sub-Zero does another move out of the game where he creates an ice wall and throws Scorpion through it.
Yeah,
which is really cool. And Scorpion fights him, and they do this other really cool one from the game, which you almost got to freeze frame it to catch it. It happens so fast. But when Scorpion goes to attack him for like a killing blow, Sub-Zero kind of flips back, and Scorpion shatters an ice duplicate of Sub-Zero. That's how fast it happens. But he does that like in the game where he'll.
Oh, I don't think I saw that.
Yeah, he like you can do a move where like you kind of do like the spinning backflip. But when you do it, the button combo creates a perfect.
No, I remember the move. I just didn't remember seeing it in the thing. Yeah.
He does it right there. Like he backs up and Scorpion.
Oh yeah. Okay, I do remember.
Because it looks like he just hit some ice, but it's actually it's a Sub-Zero that he breaks.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So he does.
It's also Sub-Zero does a super cool move in this fight scene where he like stabs Scorpion with the sword, and as the blood is sort of like spraying out of his chest, he freezes it and turns it into another knife.
Yes. That was sick. I mean, Sub-Zero is fucking OP as hell in this game. He's in this movie.
Yeah,
amazing. So I think that's what happened? Oh, because Sub-Zero freezes him there. No, Cole backs up to Scorpion. The two of them together, or is that after? No, it's before he. Yeah,
right. No, you're about right. Somewhere after the ice duplicate, whatever, the ice clone thing.
The two of them square off with him at the same time.
Yeah, Cole comes in there and they're fighting them together. But then Cole is trying to bust his family out of the ice thing at the same time he's fighting Sub-Zero. And Sub-Zero freezes Scorpion's legs so that Scorpion can't go anywhere. So then it becomes just Cole and Sub-Zero fighting. And Cole actually ends up getting the upper hand on him and I think stabs him in the chest.
Yeah, and so Scorpion uses his Hellfire. Kind of heats up his hand or lights his hand on fire and slams it into the ground.
Yeah,
basically creating a giant heat wave that starts to melt the ice even around Cole's family.
Yeah,
and freeze himself. And he stands up to finish off Sub-Zero. They're fighting for a little bit longer, and he tells Cole, you take, he's talking to him in Japanese, which is funny because we don't know that Cole even understands him, but he's talking to him like, do what you got to do. And he tells Sub-Zero, he takes the mask off and he's like, I told you to remember this face. And he says, you hoped the fires in hell would consume me, but instead I learned to control them. And then he straight up breathes fire on Sub-Zero and fucking kills him, which is funny because you start to see like
the skull.
Like, so I thought maybe, okay, that would be a cool way where you're just going to get like that fire eventually consumes his face every time he uses that power. And maybe like by the second movie, he's a skull, but he puts the mask back on. This guy takes this mask on and off like 5 times in this fight scene to say something. And so you see the skull kind of on the bottom part of his face and he puts the mask back on and Cole's got his family out and he looks at him and Scorpion nods at Cole and Cole nods back. And Scorpion takes the mask back on. He's perfectly fine again. Like maybe he didn't want to scare the little girl. But again, in Japanese, he tells him, take care of my bloodline. And then puts the mask back on, wraps himself in flames, and disappears. And you're like, what? So is he ever going to have this like full skull Scorpion face? Because
I think his time may be over because right after Sub-Zero dies, he tells he tells him in Japanese, but he tells Cole that he's been freed now. Like I guess somehow he's out of hell because of this, and then he just vanishes. So I don't know that he's going to come back. Maybe
not. I mean, well, because it's kind of like one of those things where Well, all right. Before we get into that, the Shang Tsung shows up, and Raiden tells him, it's over. You've lost. And he goes, you think you've defeated me? He goes, but death. First he says, you killed a few of my people, and I'm gonna come back here. Today I came back here with a few fighters. Next time I come back with an entire army. And then he said, and he goes, besides, death is only the beginning. And he waves his hand, and the bodies of the people that were fighting for him just like disintegrate into smoke. So they're all coming back. Whatever, Sub-Zero disappears, Cabal disappears, So at least a couple of them are coming back. And then that's pretty much the movie, right?
That is the end of the movie. And you're right. Actually, I forgot about that. But Shang Tsung does tell him death is just another portal or something, something like that, or portal to another world or something stupid. So, yeah, I guess you're right. They're probably all coming back.
Yeah. So he disappears with his fallen people, and then I think Raiden basically says, they got to prepare for. Oh, that's it. Yeah, because he tells them we have to prepare for what the next round or what's next because he'll be back. He says, so I'm gonna make a new list of fighters, and you guys are gonna have to go find them basically. And then we cut to credits, and then it cuts to the mid or end credit scene and that was it too. Somewhere right in there. You remember I said before they did this movie, I was like, if they don't at least somehow work the initial 90s movie techno beat in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, they did too. It was sort of redone, but they absolutely did.
It's a little modernized, but they do it right as the credits kick in.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Cole in his old gym locker room packing his shit up, and the guy who owns the place coming to him like, hey, I got a fight lined up for you, And he's like, nah, my days of fighting for $200 are over. And he's like, what are you going to do now? He's like, where are you going? And Cole tells him, going to Hollywood. And he walks away. As he walks away, the camera stops on the bottom half of a poster, and it said, something caged or whatever, and it's Johnny Cage. It's just like his torso, so you can't see who's playing him. But
it's just like the waist down, and you see a giant
poster,
a giant belt buckle that says Cage on it, and then I think at the bottom it says Citizen Cage or something.
That was the Citizen Cage. I couldn't remember what the hell the reference was, but it was a modern, it was a big reference. And then he's on his way to Hollywood to go find Cage, and you never know who else they're going to go after in the next movie. But they definitely set it up for at least a sequel. And you can tell this thing is probably set up for a trilogy. Easy.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few other little, small references. I think Nightwolf's coming in here. Now I'm blanking. Smoke might be. I feel like they never actually mention smoke at all, but they keep showing, black smoke everywhere. Right. Obviously, you got to have Shao Kahn at some point, so we got to bring that in there. Who else are we missing from some of the big Cage? Johnny Cage, obviously.
Johnny Cage, Baraka.
Oh, Baraka, that's right. So there's a handful, and several of them are referenced in this movie, even though they don't show up. So I feel like it's all a lead in to the sequel, which will actually be a tournament.
Yeah, you had Melina in here, but Katana is.
Oh, yeah, that was another one that had a reference. There was a point where they were talking about the Warriors, and they show a blue fan, on a little stand, Yeah. I was like, oh, that's a Katana reference.
Yes. Which is funny, because that's actually where Melina comes from in the games. Is she's a clone of Katana, but she's combined with Baraka's race's DNA. That's why she's got the
funky mouth, Yeah, so those two will probably come back, and then even though Kung Lao's dead, who knows? Because that's not the actual Kung Lao. If you remember, he says he is descendant of the great Kung Lao champion or whatever. It's like there's a different Kung Lao that won the tournaments before.
True. True. So, so that guy could bet. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. I would like to see. I mean, so you had Goro in this one. He got killed off. But you got Motaro.
Oh,
Who's,
Motaro, yeah, the
he's like a
Minotaur-ish.
Minotaur-looking guy.
What the fuck is he? Is Minotaur top and a Centaur bottom or something?
Well, yeah, because he's got like ram horns on his head, but then he's got like a centaur body.
Yeah.
And then you've got I forget his name, but he's like Goro, but he's like a tiger.
Oh,
Kintaro?
Kintaro, yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Kintaro, yeah. Yeah, anyway, so I think, they're definitely leading into a sequel. I don't know that there is an actual sequel planned yet, like greenlit, but I think they had a good turnout on HBO Max, and it seems like, at least in theaters, they did better than other movies, even though the turnout's low. So I certainly don't doubt that there will be one coming. The question, of course, is when.
Right. So, yeah. So, I mean, overall, I would love to see them at least make this a trilogy. I could definitely see them gathering more heroes. I guess you got to do the Arcana thing again for 5 minutes. Develop people's powers. But probably make it quicker in the next one because now you've established what it is and what's going on. And you can make a whole... maybe take the fight to Outworld and actually have a tournament.
Yeah, I think you have to have an actual tournament.
At least once, because I think you have the tournament in the second one, and then when Outworld inevitably loses, you can do like the third one where you've got some of these later games where Shao Kahn and Shinnok and Shang Tsung and all of them, whoever was the new leader, whatever, all just said, you know what, fuck this, and they just attacked Earthrealm outright, and you can kind of do that. Like that's what like the game we're playing now, which would be Mortal Kombat X, is what the one I got for me and Noah to play, and that's what that's all about. Like it drops you immediately into Outworld has attacked Earth, and like the heroes are scattered about trying to it's like regular army trying to fight these guys, and it ain't happening. And they're like out there with them trying to help them fight. So it's pretty cool. It's interesting, but it definitely plays more like a cutscene into a fight, like the old like DC Injustice game kind of. It plays like that. So like you'll have like whole cutscenes and telling the story, and then it breaks off into the fights. So gives you a little bit more than the original game did. But, so overall, like I said in the beginning, I liked it better than the first one, I think. Just me personally. I know I heard a lot of complaints about, the CGI could have been better. I don't know where. I don't know who the hell they were.
The CGI was good for what this is. I mean,
I don't know what the problem was, but just people wanting to complain. Not happy unless they're complaining.
Yeah, I mean, this is I was expecting sort of a B movie, but they brought in some decent actors, some actual talent. They have decent CGI, despite what some people might have said. And, they did rework the whole sort of story from the games, but from the first movie too, while also giving you all those sort of fan throwbacks that make you feel like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah, I like that, from the game or whatever. So I think they did really good. I'm with the audience on Rotten Tomatoes here that this is a fairly good showing.
Me too. Yeah, especially like when you're expecting a Mortal Kombat movie, this is more in line of what I would have expected after playing the first game with all the blood and guts and everything flying around and fatalities. This is kind of what I expected, and I know they couldn't do that back in the 90s because they were trying to get butts and seats. And while it was good and it was violent, it wasn't like the game. So this was way more what I expected it to be. So all in all, I think I got what I expected and probably a little bit more. I think it elevated a little bit more than what I expected it to be. So overall, I mean, I'd give it at the very least a B plus, probably maybe like an A minus.
Yeah,
I like it
I'm
a
with
lot.
you. I'm with you.
Yeah. So, all right, we got any other alibis, or we're just gonna?
No, I think we're good.
All right, cool. Well, in that case, I know there's a little bit of a hodgepodge of a review. Sorry, guys, but we didn't write any notes, so we just kind of like ran around with it. But let us know what you think of the movie. Comment down below, like, subscribe, ring a bell, and tell us what your thoughts of the movie were. If it lived up to your expectations, or it just kind of left you hanging, you wanted more, or you're just not interested in the sequel anymore. Hit us up at whatifgeeks.com, What If Geeks on Facebook, What If Geeks at Gmail, Instagram, Twitter. Check out Patreon. We got a few things on there now. So come drop us a few bucks and become a patron and support us. Help the channel keep moving. And I guess that is it. We will talk to you guys next week. Good night, Tony.
Good night, Hanzo Hasashi. Hopefully only until the sequel.
Nice.